Here with Kempson and Cole, and they're here to talk about today's crosstown rivalry game between Sentinel and Big Sky. So you guys commentate for these games, and it's nice to see a face to a voice.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. We're excited for tonight's game. You know, Sentinel is playing real well right now. They're running the football. They had an impressive win last weekend, 35-10 over Butte High, and they look to just keep the momentum going. And so we're excited to even be able to have the opportunity to commentate. As always, you know, it's been fun to do. I've done it the last couple of years and brought Kempson on last year, so it's been exciting.
Cool. And last year was the first year you did it with Sydney Schultz and the Sentinel Spartans, Spartan Live. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Spartan Live. Yeah.
Nice. And so what is it? What goes into sports commentating? Because I've always considered it, but it seems like you have to be like really quick and pay attention a lot and know what you're talking about, I guess.
There's quite a bit of behind the scenes preparation. Like I spend a few hours getting ready for each week's game, just trying to talk to coaches, get statistics, figure out who the key players are going to be, who you want to track, like the storylines going in and such. Like, for example, for tonight's game, it's even bigger because Hellgate's not playing varsity football this season.
Oh.
They don't have enough players. So Big Sky and Sentinel is the Missoula City Championship game. So that's going to adds a whole different layer of intrigue to the game for sure.
Yeah, because they don't have that third option. It's just the two of them. Oh, that's kind of disappointing on Hellgate's part. But, oh well.
Yeah, and Big Sky, it's at the Missoula County Stadium.
Okay.
So
Where is that?
That's at Big Sky High School. So Big
Oh.
Sky High School has a stadium for basically all the teams that have their home games. So if it's the Sentinel home game, it's going to be at Big Sky.
Right.
That's usually how it's always been, and I think it's really cool that they all just can consolidate and work together, because all the MCPS schools are kind of like just one big happy family. But it's always nice. With any family, there's always fighting, and this is like one of them.
Sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
So, in detail, could you guys go into a little more about how you guys prepare for, remembering names and that kind of stuff can be kind of hard?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice last game because we had literally the roster up on top of the window, taped to the window, so that was nice. I'm like, wow, why didn't we think of this before? So I can read the names as, like, if like a running back, gets the handoff, I can read his name off. A lot of it, too, for me, personally, is just watching a lot of sporting events. So the more I watch, I listen to different commentators, how they call different games, the enthusiasm, the excitement. I try to mock that. I try to get into the game. I'm excited when there's a big play. I just pay attention to those small details, watch what yard line they're on. So if it's a big play down to the 40-yard line, they're on the 28-yard line. What would that be? 22, 30, 32-yard gain or whatever, using that as an example. So a lot of it for me is just watching different games and just paying attention to what the announcers are saying. But also too, you do have to prepare yourself in knowing who the players are, and throughout the game just paying attention, okay, what number are they, who caught that pass, who scored that touchdown. So
And Kempson, what is some of your background? Because you know that Cole invited you on to do it last year, and what was going through your head when you first started doing this?
It was a real blessing. I've been able to do a couple of gigs with Cole. And we've done some Montana Grizz softball as well in the last couple springs. Which was a lot of fun. And I got into this originally just back in high school doing some public address work, but I would do it like I had heard on TV, and I got a lot of positive feedback on it. One thing led to another. My high school senior project, I job shadowed a sports broadcaster. I was like, I could get into this. Player ID, like he was talking about, is one of the most important things, because if people trust you to know, like, who's got the ball, who's making the play, and also pronunciation is huge as well. That's kind of a fundamental basic to have down for sure. So just between some classes and some extra, extracurriculars you could call it, I've been able to kind of hone my craft, and Cole's been beside me for most of it, and it's been a lot of fun.
Nice. And what else have you done besides the Sentinel Sportscasting? Because I know you were doing softball for a while too, right?
Yeah. We both have done Montana Grizz softball the last 2 years, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
And really, it's really important with anything really, but especially I guess with me personally, just repetition is huge, especially live reps. Like you can practice all you want with the TV on mute like I used to, but to actually have the spotlight on you, those reps are invaluable, which I think you would concur on that.
yeah, it does. It takes a lot of repetition for sure. I mean, you have to be watching the game, and you have to just get the practice in. Like the very first game I did for Missoula Sentinel, Like I was really nervous just
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's like, okay, never done this before. Here I go, and I'm just kind of off and running. But it's cool. The more you do it, really, I mean, over time, I mean, you can definitely see yourself like getting better at just paying attention to different types of stuff.
Yeah, because always what I notice is that with a lot of commentary, especially during like games and stuff like that, there's always like you always try to figure out ways to talk about things.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out things to talk about, and you're talking for like 2.5 hours during the game. But of course, you guys usually sometimes just like you feel like you don't need to talk sometimes, which I think is great because it's always like people don't realize that it's all right to not talk, Scott.
Yeah.
Stop talking.
You heard it here, everyone.
Yeah.
And so what do you guys use kind of like as fillers between interesting plays if they're just kind of like standing around? You just like talk about stats or?
It could essentially be whatever.
Kind
it
of,
could be
yeah.
a conversation just about life, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's
Could be.
part of it. And then I think just talking about just different stats or even just different plays that, like, if I didn't see something and he did, he would talk about that. Hey, that was a nice block by whoever. So, I mean, because the color commentator, whoever that is during the game, can fill those gaps like after the play is over. And I think we do a really nice job because we don't have a monitor, so we can't see the replay. So it's really cool to be able to be like, okay, let's pay attention to, like, if there's something that Cole didn't see or something that Kempson didn't see, make sure to, fill that void and talk about that play or whatever. And it usually goes pretty smoothly for the most part.
Yeah, and hopefully the game is moving right along and is close and interesting, and you can just talk about, okay, how did we get to this point? Especially third, fourth quarter, you're like, in the start of the third quarter, you're like, okay, well, how'd the first half go? Well, what were the key plays? And so that's something that we've actually specifically been trying to get better at, just like writing them down so we don't have to go off the top of our head, because that's something that I can lie to myself about is like, oh, I'll remember that. It's important enough. I don't have to write it down. But writing it down is huge, I've found, especially just with the way my memory works, just to be able to go through that action of doing that, at least for me, is really helpful. But yeah, hopefully you're able to do that, to bring people up to speed if they maybe just tuned in or whatever, and just trying to make sure that you keep everybody who's already been watching also just make sure that they know that you're, again, on top of it, because a huge thing is just having the audience trust you and that you know what you're talking about. And also, I mean, you're trying to tell the story live, and the story is ultimately about these kids who are playing on Friday nights, or with softball it was Saturday afternoons, and I say kids, they're probably my age in college, but
Crazy kids.
Yeah.
So what would you suggest for someone that wants to get into sports broadcasting? How would you suggest they go about that?
I think just calling and asking. I mean, that's what I did with the high school. I'm like, hey, do you guys need anybody to do sports commentating? And Dane's like, yeah, we're actually starting up this program called Spartan Live. And so that's how I jumped in. And so I think you have to do it locally first, because sometimes I feel like I can be very prideful, and then I can try and bite off more than I can chew and feel like, oh, okay, like I've got to go after doing college football play-by-play or, trying to get to a professional sport. But the fact of the matter is that you need to build a demo tape. So you're going to have to start locally. You're going to have to start small. Local high schools are a great place to start. And yeah, the first thing to do is just calling and asking. And that way, over time, you can build a resume, save the footage that you have, log your highlights. That's what I did actually last week from a game that we did, scoring plays. I found out where the scoring plays were at, that I did the play-by-play for, and I just put it on my Facebook page, and so you can go right to the time of the game of when the scoring play was, and then you can put it on your resume or direct anyone to it so they can watch it. So
Nice.
just calling around.
All right, so we're running out of time. So let's talk about tonight's game. Just kind of like when and where can people watch it, and where can people tune in?
Tonight, 7:30 p.m. is the kickoff. We'll have a little pregame, hopefully a little bit before that. But 7:30 p.m. is the kickoff, Missoula County Stadium. It's on, if you go to MCAT.org, I think they do have a high school sports link that's on the homepage. I also put it on my Facebook, but you may not be friends with me or whatever.
I'm friends with them. Don't worry.
That's totally fine. But yeah, if you go to MCAT.org, they have a high school sports link, and it's worked for everybody I've given it to, so hopefully it'll work for you. And yeah, it's like I said, huge game, Big Sky versus Sentinel. It's a lot of Zootown pride on the line tonight for sure.
Cool. Thank you very much, you guys.
Yeah.